This is Adele's debut album 19, and there's one song on here that she didn't want to record. It's Make You Feel My Love. It's a cover song, originally written by Bob Dylan, but it took some persuading before Adele would reluctantly record it. And now it's actually her favourite song from this album. So why didn't she want to record it? The song has been covered by hundreds of artists, and despite her reluctance, for me, Adele's version is the best of all of them. Not just because of her incredible voice, but the story of how she worked with the song is actually a symbol of how magical things can happen when we just allow them to.
When the rain is blowing in your face.
I'm sure many of you will know this song, and perhaps many of you may have thought this was actually written by Adele, or one of her producers, but it was actually written by Bob Dylan. His version appeared on his 1997 album Time Out of Mind, and, well, it sounds like Bob Dylan. It's a beautiful song, and I actually quite like this performance. As the title suggests, the song depicts the way the writer is feeling, heartbroken and desperately longing for a special person to feel all the love that they have for them. I think it's beautiful, and when it was played to the chair of Columbia Records, he agreed, apparently listening to it more than a dozen times in a row. Not everyone agreed though. The album it comes from, Time Out of Mind, was seen as quite a successful revival for Dylan, but Rolling Stone were unimpressed, calling the song a spare ballad, undermined by greeting card lyrics. Whether Dylan wrote the song because of a first-hand experience, I don't know, but I do think it suits his style quite well, and being the original songwriter, there's an authenticity that's often difficult to replicate. Maybe it was just the case that this song just didn't fit into the broader picture of where he was or what he was doing at the time.
When the evening shadows and the stars appear.
The first version to be released though was actually by Billy Joel, just 1 month before Dylan's, appearing on his 1997 Greatest Hits album. It was suggested by one of the A&R guys at Columbia Records that this song could be used to help promote Billy's new Greatest Hits album, and Billy agreed that it's a beautiful song, saying the hairs on his arms stood up when he first heard it. The trouble is though, in my opinion, this isn't so great. And don't get me wrong, I love Billy Joel, I think he's one of the greatest songwriters of his generation, and when other people have covered his songs, I prefer his version. But this one just doesn't work so well. And given that he doesn't appear to have ever played it live since then, I would guess that Billy might now agree. It's not that it's bad in any way, it just doesn't have the magic that a song like this surely deserves. The reason for this, I think, is that it was more of a commercial decision than an artistic one. Someone from the record label hoping it would promote a Greatest Hits album. Greatest Hits albums are of course commercial projects anyway. It's also highly unusual for Billy Joel to cover a song. From his 12 studio albums, he never once covered or co-wrote a song, apart from one time Cyndi Lauper appeared for a duet. The song of course is the same, so it can't be a problem with the song, and Billy has written and sung some of the most beautiful songs of all time. Just listen to Vienna or And So It Goes. The trouble here is that they were trying to make something happen. This after all is a Billy Joel Greatest Hits album. What place does a song that he's never even sung before belong on his Greatest Hits album? It didn't work because it was forced and the timing wasn't right.
When the rain is blowing in your face.
10 years later though, in 2007, a manager would once again roll the dice on the song, hoping it could work with an artist. Adele's manager pressured her to listen to the song. Her manager was a huge Dylan fan, and was insistent that she at least gave it a listen. However, at the time, Adele was working on her own debut album of original material, and she had no interest in covering any other songs. I was being quite defiant against it. I don't want to cover on my album, it kind of implies that I'm incapable of writing enough of my own songs. Adele finally relented and allowed her manager to play the song, and of course, she thought it was beautiful. She later said, "I think it's just a stunning song, and it really summed up everything that I've been trying to write in my songs." Her debut album centres around this theme of heartbreak and a difficult relationship, and Make You Feel My Love fits perfectly within this theme. There were no commercial decisions, there was no one trying to force something to work. Adele simply listened to the song and realised that this is what she'd been trying to say. All she had to do was allow it to happen. I never quite got down what I was feeling in those songs, although I was trying to. It wasn't that I was holding back or anything, I just couldn't get it down. The lyrics are just amazing, and summed up exactly what I've been trying to say in my songs. It's about regretting not being with someone, and it's beautiful. It's weird that my favourite song on my album is a cover, but I couldn't not put it on there. It's funny that unlike perhaps any of the hundreds of artists that have covered this song, Adele was initially reluctant to record it. But now, it's her favourite song from this album, and she's more associated with this song than anyone else. It's a wonderful example of how sometimes a song needs to find its place, and the solution isn't to try and force it to work. The best things happen when we just allow them to, accepting that what we're doing right now might not be the best time for the song. It reminds me of this wonderful insight from the producer Rick Rubin.
Allowing it to happen, letting the string on the bow and arrow fall from your hand. It's the allowing, and not trying too hard. Trying is the problem.
For me, this is where the magic in Adele's version comes from. Not only from her beautiful voice, but from her decision to allow the song to fall into place. What makes Adele's version unique is that she didn't have to try. If it hadn't have worked out, it wouldn't have been included on the album, because clearly that wasn't what she originally wanted. But by just allowing it to happen, it fell perfectly into place.